Hello bachcho, how are you all? So today we are going to see how the fertilization takes place in flower. Okay, but before fertilization we must know the structure of a flower. Flower में क्या क्या present होता है and in science what is flower? क्या होता है flower? So flower is the reproductive part of a plant. Fine. So in a tree or in a plant, what are the different parts? Like you have leaves, branches, fruits, flowers, okay, bud, what else? Among all these, flower is that part of a plant in which male and female part is present. That's why flower is known as the reproductive part. Why? Because the male and female parts are present in the flower only. It is not present in leaf, it is not present in stem. It is present only in flower. Okay? Now, so let's see the mechanism of fertilization. Before mechanism, let's come to the structure of a flower. If you know it, well and good. If you do not know, draw with me. Draw a simple flower. So this is a simple flower which I have drawn here. So petals कैसा होता है? Wherever you see a flower, it has beautiful petals, colorful petals है. So I have made 4 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 petals है. Then when the flower is in bud stage, तो green color के एक covering होती है ना, that is nothing but it is known as sepals. So these are sepals and these are petals. So except these two, there are 2 more parts of flower. So it is known as the stamen and pistil. तो ये जो लंबे लंबे आपको दिख रहे हैं, this type of structure, this type of structure, this type of structure, they are nothing but stamen. And except stamen, you can see a middle part. This beautiful सुराही जैसा बिल्कुल आपको स्ट्रक्चर दिख रहा होगा. पॉट जैसा पतला सा, then a patli neck, and then again a swallow portion. This is nothing but this is known as pistil. It is known as pistil. So a general flower has 4 parts. It has petals which are colored. Fine. It has sepals which are generally green. And it has stamen and pistil. Fine. So stamen and pistil are the male and female part of the flower. Okay. So I have made a flower in which both are present. But in some flower only the stamen is present. And in some flower only the pistil is present. For example, cucumber and papaya. ठीक है. इनमें क्या होता है? या तो stamen ही present होते हैं, pistil नहीं present होती. मतलब मेल ही प्रेजेंट होगा, फीमेल नहीं प्रेजेंट होगी. ठीक. या दूसरे में देखिए, पपाया में देखिए, कुकम्बर में देखिए, तो सिर्फ फीमेल प्रेजेंट होगी, मेल नहीं प्रेजेंट होगा. तो ऐसा फ्लावर जिसमें सिर्फ एक ही जेंडर प्रेजेंट हो, इधर मेल और फीमेल, दैट इज नोन एज इनकम्प्लीट फ्लावर और यूनिसेक्सुअल. यूनिसेक्सुअल मीन्स ओनली वन इज प्रेजेंट, ईदर मेल और female. Okay. If both are present, like I have made the flower of hibiscus. ये बच्चों hibiscus है. ठीक है. Hibiscus means China rose. ठीक है. So इसमें दोनों present है. इसमें female भी present है और इसमें male भी present है. That's a very common flower and in which you can see both. So ये कैसा flower है? This type of flower is known as bisexual flower. Bi means 2. Sexual means both genders are present. ठीक है. So a typical flower has 4 parts: petals, sepals, stamen and pistil. Petals and sepals. Petals are generally colored. Sepals are generally green. Stamen is the male part. Pistil is the female part. ठीक है. अब now come to stamen. Stamen जो है ये मेन पार्ट है बेटा. It has 2 major part. ये ऊपर का पार्ट होता है. This is known as anther. This is called anther and this long is known as filament. गुलमोहर में बहुत अच्छे से बहुत प्रोमिनेंट दिखाई पड़ता है. ये बड़ा सा एंथर उसमें होता है येलो कलर का. ठीक है. बाइलोब्ड होता है, मतलब उसमें से आपको एक ऐसी लाइन जैसी दिखेगी. इट इज बाइलोब्ड. फाइन. सो इट हैज अ एंथर एंड इट हैज अ फिलामेंट. ठीक. सो दिस इज नोन एज स्टेम. दिस इज अ मेल पार्ट. आई मस्ट मेंशन दिस इज अ मेल पार्ट. ओके. नेक्स्ट कम टू द फीमेल पार्ट. फीमेल बिल्कुल जैसे एक सुराही जैसी होती है, बिल्कुल वैसी होती है. सो ये माउथ पीस है. माउथ जैसा नहीं होता. इट इज लाइक दिस broad piece. So this is known as stigma. This is called stigma and this long tube is known as style. स्टाइल से होती है बिल्कुल. फाइन. and the swallow portion, नीचे आके फिर से ये ऐसे swallow portion हो जाता है. This is known as ovary. And inside the ovary, these type of structures are present. They are known as ovules. ठीक है? And this is the female part. Okay, and this is the male part. I hope it is clear. So every flower is having so why flower is a reproductive part? Because it is having male or female. Some flowers, they are bisexual, means both genders are present. Some flowers are unisexual, means only one gender, or either it is stamen or it is pistil. So if I ask you what is the male part of a flower, so you will say stamen. If I ask you what is the female part of a flower, so you will say pistil. Okay? Now pistil is having these four parts: style, stigma, style, ovary and ovule. Okay? Stamen is having two major parts: anther and filament. Okay? Now how the reproduction takes place? Reproduction means seed जब बनता है, तो seed कैसे बनता है? How the seed is formed and where the seed is formed? So seed जो है इन्हीं में बनता है, और कहाँ बनता है? It is present inside the ovary. बेटा जो फ्लावर होता है ना, फ्लावर कुछ दिन बाद क्या होगा? फ्लावर में जो जितनी पेटल्स है, ये सब पेटल्स है, सेपल्स है, ये सब दे शेड ऑफ. व्हाट इज रिमेनिंग? सिर्फ फ्लावर की ओवरी रह जाएगी, और ओवरी बिकम्स फ्रूट, और जो अंदर ओव्यूल्स है दे बिकम सीड. तो कभी कभी सीड सिर्फ एक ही हो सकता है ना? इट कैन बी ओनली वन, जैसे मैंगो सीड, फाइन, और इट कैन बी मोर देन वन, जैसे पोमेग्रेनेट फुल ऑफ सीड्स ओनली. ठीक है? सो ऑल लाइक गुआवा यू गेट मेनी सीड्स. ठीक है? सो आई होप इट इज क्लियर. रिप्रोडक्शन इनमें कैसे होता है? सो यू नो व्हाट इज फर्टिलाइजेशन. कैसे होगा? व्हेन द मेल एंड फीमेल गैमीट दे मीट, फाइन, देन ओनली द न्यू ऑर्गेनिज्म फॉर्म. अब देखो, इसमें मेल यहाँ है और फीमेल यहाँ है. तो जो मेल स्टेमन है, स्टेमन, दिस इज स्टेमन, इस एंथर में क्या फॉर्म होते हैं? छोटे छोटे फॉर्म होते हैं, पोलन्स. These pollens are formed inside the anther. Okay? When you open the anther, you will see the pollens are there. Although you cannot see pollens, they are well microscopic, but they are present inside the anther. Or when the anther matures, जब anther बड़ा होता है, mature होता है, तो pollens are formed. फिर ये pollens burst होते हैं. Fine? फिर ये anther burst होता है and the pollens they come out. When the pollens they come out, so with the help of air or with the help of water or with the help of insects, they move. Or when the pollen move and they fall on the female part, they form a tube and then they reaches to the ovary. And here the fertilization takes place. Okay? So in the next slide, we'll talk about the fertilization. अब fertilization क्या होता है? First of all, the definition. So fertilization means होता है the fusion of male and female gamete. Male and female gamete. What are gametes, children? What is gamete? So gamete means a special cell that give rise to a new one. Right? So the fusion of male and female gamete is known as fertilization. So this is the definition of fertilization. Okay? So you can mention here definition. Fine? Now, how it takes place. So in this topic, we are going to see the mechanism of fertilization. ठीक है? So इसके लिए I have made only two parts. One is the female part I have made, other is the male part. ठीक है? तो ये जो आपको एक सुराही की तरह दिख रहा है, सुराही जानते हैं? अर्दन पॉट कुछ इस तरह की होती है ना, लॉन्ग ट्यूब, और ये कुछ इस तरह की. ठीक? सो दिस इज द फीमेल पार्ट ऑफ अ फ्लावर, जिसमें ये होती है स्टिग्मा, स्टाइल, ओवरी, और इनसाइड द ओवरी ओव्यूल्स आते हैं. ओके? सो दिस इज नोन एज पिस्टल दैट वी हैव ऑलरेडी सीन. नाउ लेट्स सी द मैकेनिज्म ऑफ फर्टिलाइजेशन. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल द anther, the pollen comes out, the pollen grains come out. When the pollen grains fall on the stigma of the female part, this is the female part. The first one is the pollen grains falls on the stigma of right flower. Right flower means flower of same species. Okay? Second, the pollen grains they start forming the pollen tube. See, all pollen grains they start forming the pollen tube. and among all, this one has formed the pollen tube. Okay, so the pollen begins to form the pollen tube. Next one. So the pollen tube grows along the wall of the style. अब आप अगर इस फ्लावर को यहाँ से ऐसे तोड़ दें, इसकी ये स्टाइल को बीच से, तो आपको एक पतली सी येलो कलर की ट्यूब दिखाई पड़ेगी. Fine. So the tube grows along the wall of the style and then it reaches towards the ovary. It curls. यहाँ पर आके ये कर्ल हो जाती है and it try to enters in the ovule. ठीक है, यहाँ पर ये ब्रेक हो जाता है. There is an opening and through this opening the male gamete enters. See the next one. The tube grows along the wall of the style and reaches the ovary. The tube enters in the, अब ट्यूब यहाँ पे ब्रेक हो जाती है in the ovary through an opening. So this is the opening through which the tube here breaks. यहाँ पे ब्रेक हो जाती है and then the male gamete. यहाँ से अभी तक तो पोलन का क्या काम था? Pollen only forms the pollen tube. अब इस ट्यूब से जो मेल गैमीट होगा, it comes from this tube and enters in the ovule. And when it enters inside the ovule, here the male gametes move down through the tube and fertilize the female gamete. This is the egg cell. You can see many cells are here. Fine. These are also the two cells. They are the helper cells, you can say. Okay. So these are the two cells. This is also one cell. These are the three cells. So this is a combination of cell, but the egg cell is this one. Fine. So here the male gamete comes and fertilization takes place when the male and female gamete fuse and then it forms zygote. So this is how the fertilization takes place. Okay, so this whole is ovary. After fertilization children, the petals which were here present, side में जो petals present थे, these petals, they fall off. And what is remaining? Everything fall off. What is remaining? Only the ovary. Ovary becomes fruit and the ovule inside them becomes seed. So this is how the fertilization takes place and it is the fate of the parts of the flower. Only what is remaining? Only the ovary, and inside the ovary what are these? This is nothing but an ovule. So ovule give rise to seed and ovary give rise to fruit. Sometimes you have seen that in a fruit only one seed is there. Fine. So ovule is one. Sometimes you have seen that in some seeds or in some fruits many seeds are there, so many ovules are there. Okay, so this is how children fertilization takes place. Now let's do some of the questions. So what are different parts of flowers? The different parts of flowers are petals, sepals, stamen and pistil. Okay, so stamen is a male part, pistil is a female part. The male part is nothing but it is a stamen. Okay, and stamen has two parts. One is known as anther, okay, and other is known as filament. Fine, come to the next one. Female part is known as pistil. Okay, it has also three parts. One is known as stigma, other is known as style and ovary, and inside the ovary what is there? Ovule. So ovary, ovary. Next, flower is a reproductive part of a plant. Why reproductive? Because both genders are there. Fusion of male and female gamete is known as fertilization. Please write down. You can write by your own, fertilization. Okay? It is known as fertilization. Okay, next. The mature ovary becomes fruit. When the ovary matures, becomes a fruit. When the ovules mature, they becomes seed. So I hope it is clear to you what is a flower, what is the structure of a flower, what are the main parts of the flower, and what is the mechanism or how the fertilization takes place. After the fertilization, male and female gamete, they form zygote. Fine. I hope it is clear to you. Thank you so much children for watching.